It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome to the Tennessee bonus hour of the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. It is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. We are delighted to welcome to our microphones our good friends for well over 30 years, the original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. Crom, welcome.
Greetings, Mr. Mike.
It is terrific to be here. We are, I'm thinking about this, Crom, we are headed towards our 8th anniversary of the Tennessee Star.
Wow.
Which will be in February. 8 years.
8 years.
For truth, justice, and the American way.
Yes, which is back in style.
Finally, isn't that fun?
You know, who knew? I wonder if Trump, you can actually copyright dance steps.
You can?
You can, yeah. I wonder if Trump has copyrighted his dance step because everybody's doing it. The football players are doing it. John Jones.
Yeah.
I've become a huge John Jones fan.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest UFC fighter in history.
Mm-hmm.
You would not want to go in the ring with him. I mean,
yeah.
He can devastate you with his hands, with his elbows, with his feet, with his knees. I mean, I don't think anybody's lasted 3 rounds with him.
The UFC, that kind of fighting.
Yeah.
Which is not boxing.
No.
It's the full body thing.
Yes,
right?
it is.
And Dana White's been spectacular in growing that business.
Yeah.
It's very popular.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan.
Okay.
But the reason is
it's gladiator. It's the closest thing. It's the closest thing we have. Professional boxing is like gladiator, but not to the extent that this is. Now, in this case, Dana White claims that boxers can be injured more in boxing than MMA fighters.
And it might be the case because, in boxing, there's a lot of shots to the head.
Yes.
Probably more shots to the head in boxing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you
Well,
ever...
and we're talking about like 20 or 30 or 40 per fight.
Yeah.
And in mixed martial arts, it generally is over quicker. I mean, first of all, it's only 3 rounds.
Yeah.
It's not 10 to 15.
Right.
So at any rate, but it was that John Jones fight was a big deal, and Trump was there.
The rise of the UFC is an element of culture. Mm-hmm. And Mark Levin's a big UFC fan.
Yeah.
Big fan. And a lot of people are. And it's a very macho kind of thing. It's very it's traditional masculinity, I would say.
Well, there's some. Now, let me say this: the women's division
don't mess around.
Don't mess around. I would not want to be in the ring with any of those guys.
Yeah.
But then I'm not they tried that about 7 or 8 years ago. The best woman MMA fighter got in the ring with a guy, and what happened was he danced around and just kind of tapped her and this and that, and then she hauled off and punched him right in the nose, and it made him mad.
And then boom.
And and then one punch he almost took her head off. And,
we don't.
And he said I absolutely lost my composure. I mean he said I will never
do that.
I'll never do that again.
Yeah, it was bad mistake.
It was bad. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about bad mistakes.
Yes.
And the Democrats have been making a lot of bad mistakes.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, they're not that bright, are they?
Well, let me say this, Michael. This is what and I've said this since you've had me on your show. The key to understanding the Democrat Party is the Democrat Party is the party of government, and everything it does is to try to empower government and empower themselves. And I've said that the government employee unions is the cancer in our body politic. Now, in order for the Democrats believed that if they could increase the population of illegal immigrants, that those illegal immigrants would vote.
That was their plan.
Would vote for. Now, Republicans in this particular election cycle got like 5,000 lawyers, and they were able to overwhelm the the attempts to cheat. And I think that there were many attempts, and I think the Republicans stopped them. And in fact, if you look at what's happening in Pennsylvania, I don't know if Casey has finally conceded, but there the Democrats in Pennsylvania are trying to cheat in public by saying we don't care what the Supreme Court ruled.
Yeah, the Democrat commissioner specifically said, well, court precedents don't matter anymore.
People break the law all the time. That's what they said. And she was alluding to Trump.
Yeah, but the point on all that is she, in a bold way, asserted that the rule of law upon which the United States has been built for over 250 years doesn't apply anymore.
Right.
Doesn't apply to her.
Right. Well, and
I got news for her. It does.
It does. And McCormick will eventually become the senator. And my guess is that there's a good chance that the people in Pennsylvania, if an investigation is held, they'll be held to account because
this is a violation of federal law.
Of course, I'm saying it's.
I think this person is going to serve prison time.
Well, if the person is investigated, I mean, she said right there in the public for everybody to hear, I'm breaking the law, and I want the Supreme Court. I'm doing it to get the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania's attention. Well, they had already ruled. So, but let's talk about the other subject here, and that is what the other stupid thing that Democrats are doing, and that's in this area of illegal immigration. And what you have is you now have Los Angeles. The city council has now passed, at least on first reading, an ordinance to make Los Angeles a sanctuary city. Let me say this: there's great irony here because while Biden was president and letting in all these illegal immigrants, conservatives and states, red states, tried to use the courts to force the Biden administration to protect our borders. And they tried to protect the borders themselves. And the court said immigration is a federal issue. And states don't have the authority that these states claim they have as just border protection. And so I think that these cities and these mayors and these governors who are trying to claim that Trump does not have the authority to manage illegal immigration as he sees fit, I think they're going to bump into the law too. Yeah. And they will lose.
Well, what they're saying is we will not cooperate with ICE.
Right.
Or the federal government. That's what they're saying.
Right, but they're required to by law. I don't think you get the right to choose which laws you. Well, they seem to think that they have the right.
I think they actually what they don't have the right to, when they say they don't cooperate, that means they won't aid. I think the legal issue will come in if they try to harbor.
Well, but if you don't cooperate, if you have a criminal who you know is an illegal immigrant and you simply let them out, and that's contrary to what the federal government, because under Biden, the federal government didn't try very hard, if at all.
So back to the point of
the law.
If here's where it's going to work out. If this comes into play in the event that an illegal alien is arrested on a local criminal charge and is in custody in, let's say, the Davidson County Jail, or the Boston City Jail, and if that individual is known to be an illegal alien, and if ICE comes in, Tom Homan comes in and says, release that person to me, and if they refuse to release him, they are violating federal law.
Well, but what if they don't tell? How is Holman going to learn?
That's the next part of this.
Okay.
We'll talk about that
All right.
when we get back.
Okay.
I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. He's Crom Carmichael.
folks, John Fredericks here for Freedom Alliance. Veterans are still struggling with the wounds of war. They came home with injuries that changed them forever. The flag-burning troublemakers in our streets remind me how fortunate we are to have patriots who served and fought, sacrificed, and never complained. We need to support them through organizations like the Freedom Alliance. It's Military Appreciation Month and time to support those who serve. Freedom Alliance is caring for combat veterans and military families. Combat veterans fought in the worst, most dangerous places on earth. Freedom Alliance takes them to nature's most relaxing locations so they can heal. Freedom Alliance gives injured troops mortgage-free homes, new cars, and all-terrain wheelchairs. For wounded vets, there's nothing like the stability of your own home, the reinsurance of a reliable vehicle, or the independence of a wheelchair that navigates snow, ice, beach, pasture, or most any terrain. Let's fight for those who fought for us. Go to freedomalliance.org/Godzilla and make a monthly gift that will improve the life of a military hero. That's freedomalliance.org/Godzilla. Make a contribution today.
If you're like me, most moms find it difficult to prioritize self-care. Hi, it's Colleen, Program Director at the John Fredericks Media Network. With the demands of programming 13 radio stations, it's easy to forget about the things I should do for myself daily. And that's why I started with our company's Women's Challenge with Native Path Collagen Peptides. It's affordable and convenient care in just one scoop a day. There are so many incredible health benefits like bone and joint support, metabolism booster, and hair, skin, and nail improvement. I like to take a moment each day to prioritize myself and indulge in the health-boosting benefits of Native Path Collagen Peptides. I love mixing it up with all the different smoothie recipes, too. Learn more about Native Path Collagen Peptides and read 7 important reasons why you should be taking collagen peptides at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Prioritize your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
Target.com. Target.com is an online e-commerce tire retailer. We are here to serve the American public with the best possible customer service, the best pricing, and we make it extremely easy. We have many name brands and a lot of low-cost tires. The price is right, and it's easy. You go online to Target.com, Tireget.com, Target.com. You go there, you put your zip code in, all the inventory displays right in front of you. You can call in for help if you want to. We'll help you get the tire that you need. But we will take the tires you buy and at no extra charge deliver them to the dealer right by your house where they will be installed at the market price. It's easy. The best price, the best service. Great people to deal with. Thank you for going to Target.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back. We're here with original All-Star panelist Crom Carmichael. Crom, we're talking about Democrat city mayors and governors who have basically boldly stated that they will not cooperate with federal agents that are seeking to secure illegal aliens and deport them.
Yeah.
Now,
by the way, what do you think will be the? Let's divide this into a couple of different categories here. There's also an interesting story in BizPac Review. The headline is Trinidad Aragua increases territory to 16 states. So this is the Venezuelan gang that and it's the same gang that took over entire apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. They are now in 16 states. Do you think that they will? Do you think they will act in illegal, nefarious, and violent ways?
Well, Crom, it's all been demonstrated that they have acted.
That's what
illegal.
They do.
It's
what they do.
It's what they do.
Yeah, it's what they do.
Let me go to Michelle Wu, the mayor of Boston, who has asserted she will not cooperate.
Right.
The governor of Arizona, Katie Hobbs, has asserted she will not cooperate. The governor of Illinois, Pritzker, who has presidential aspirations, he will not allow the residents of Illinois to be turned over to the feds. Here's the problem. Under federal law, Title 8 of the U.S. Code, Section 1324, harboring or concealing illegal aliens from law enforcement is unlawful.
Right.
Now, back to your point.
Yeah.
Harboring or concealing, I think it's very clear that if an illegal alien is arrested for whichever crime he's committed, they commit a lot of crimes, and they are brought into custody in a local jail, and that local jail knows that they are illegal, they and if federal agents come and say turn them over, they got to turn them over. But you posed a very interesting question. What if they refuse to have the information that they have an illegal alien in custody? What if they refuse to make that information available?
Right.
I think that's the strategy they're going to take.
Yes, and I think that's illegal.
I think
it'll be tested. And it won't be tested in a civil suit. It'll be tested in a criminal matter. And what'll be interesting is this: it'll be the local law the head of the local law enforcement, like the chief of police,
or the sheriff,
who is doing what he or she has been told to do by the mayor. That will be the person who is investigated.
So let's take an example here in Nashville, for instance.
Well, that's not. Has Nashville a sanctuary city? Have they announced that? Because I don't want to use Nashville if we haven't. I'd rather use a city that has.
Well, let's say Los Angeles.
Yeah,
or
Boston. Or Boston, because the mayor's already said so. In Los Angeles, the city council has passed an ordinance on first reading. But Boston, the mayor of Boston has made a clear statement.
Of policy.
Yeah.
Now, Boston is an interesting example because you're correct. In Boston, the chief of police, who is in Boston, is responsible for running the jails.
Okay, and reports to the mayor.
Yeah. In Nashville, it's a little different. As an example, so the sheriff
is elected,
but the sheriff has responsibility for keeping prisoners. And the sheriff is independent of the mayor.
Okay, that isn't okay. Now wait, now that's in. Now we're not saying that Nashville has claimed to be a sanctuary,
but
yet. That is different. And in Chicago, which you have now Illinois, where you have the governor of the state, and then Arizona, where you have the governor of the state. Well, what does the local sheriff or chief of police do?
In that instance.
And if they're the ones who don't do it, they're the ones who are culpable, and then they get investigated, they get indicted, and they say, I'm only doing what I was told to do, and all of a sudden it rolls up.
So let's take that example, and I think you're quite right. So the places where this would likely happen is in places where public officials have said we're not going to cooperate.
Right.
Okay, remember now, the law says you can't conceal or harbor.
Right.
And I think you and I would agree.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Let me finish my thought.
Okay.
I think you and I would agree, Crom, that if they know somebody is illegal and they refuse to report that, that would be illegal because it would be harboring and concealing.
I think that would be concealing.
Yeah,
But now I want to get into the question of harboring. Suppose that you are the mayor of Aurora, and the same thing happens again in Aurora, and you have these Venezuelan gangs who are taking over apartment complexes. Are you harboring? Not concealing.
Yeah.
Are you harboring known criminals? Now, I mean, they may not have even been arrested. So my question is, if somebody has a criminal indictment and they came to this country as criminals, not just the fact that they're criminals because they crossed the border illegally, but because they were criminals
and known to be criminals.
They were criminals before they even committed the crime of crossing the border. If you know that such a person exists in your area of jurisdiction, are you harboring that person if you know they're there and you know that they have a criminal record?
I would say yes.
Yeah, and so
would you say that? Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
Because Holman has made it very clear.
He's not messing around.
But he's also made it very clear. We're not trying to. We are starting with the criminal class, the known criminal class, and the drug dealers and the child sex trafficking people. We are starting with those people, and there are he said at least 1 million that fall into that category.
At least. So let's go forward with the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, because she's on record.
Yes.
And in Boston, it's the the chief of police reports to her.
Okay.
And the chief of police is responsible for the jails.
Okay.
Let's say they come up and they have a number of illegal aliens in jail. They know they're illegal, and they choose to refuse to share the immigration status of all their prisoners with the Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
I think immediately a criminal lawsuit is filed.
I think it can be.
Well,
it's not. I don't think
agree?
it's filed. I don't think it's a lawsuit. I think they convene a grand jury, and they
indict.
And they indict.
I think you're right.
And then if they indict, they hold a trial.
Yeah, and what will happen is this will be the afternoon of January 20th. And I'm assuming that Todd Blanche will be right in there as the Deputy Attorney General. Matt Gaetz may take a little longer to get in, but he'll ultimately get in. But the very first thing, I think Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, when he knows this, and we know this is happening right now, and they know there's defiance to share the immigration status of prisoners in Boston, they will convene a grand jury right away. And criminal charges will be filed against the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, and the police chief in Boston. And that trial will proceed.
Yeah. It is my hope that when they do that, they quote Nancy Pelosi when they file the charges.
What quote?
As Nancy Pelosi has regularly said, no one is above the law.
Well, that would come in the press release, but not the legal brief.
Oh, that's a shame. but
All right.
I'm just saying that this is the irony is that the Biden administration, which you and I believe acted lawlessly, but the courts essentially said in the area of immigration that the federal government is the institution that controls the laws on immigration. So Texas had to contrive ways of making it a state issue in terms of criminal activity, and they tried to do different things, and the courts actually continuously pushed back on them. Well, now the shoe is on the other foot, and you now have the Democrat states are now trying to say it's a state issue.
It's not going to work.
And it's not going to work.
Okay, you want to talk about Nancy Mace?
Nancy Mace.
So we've got a male who has all of his mail equipment.
Does he still have his mail equipment?
He has his mail equipment.
All right.
There's a rhyming term that Marjorie Taylor Greene used to describe him. The first word in that rhyming term is chick to describe.
Okay. I thought it was Enos.
Anyways. Basically this guy fashions himself a female. Nancy Mace has put together some laws, some proposed legislation on it. Tell us about it. Congresswoman.
I don't know. I don't know the details of exactly what she's going to say, but I know generally what she has said is, and I don't know if it's a male at birth. I don't know exactly what the deal is.
It has to do with whatever equipment
exists at the time.
At the time.
Okay. Well, if that's what she's going to do, then she's going to require that this person, because he has a something that rhymes with Enos, because that's what he has, he's going to be required to go to the same bathroom facilities as all the other people who have Enoses. And
you can say that word. I know, but go ahead.
No, I would rather say this one. So at any rate, but the way the left is behaving is absolutely hysterical.
See, they haven't gotten the memo.
They
don't understand.
And by the way, this goes to Nancy Mace will win on this issue.
Oh yeah,
and it'll be brought to the floor for a vote, and it'll be very.
She'll win.
Not only will she win, there's about 20 Democrats.
I think about
who will
maybe
not,
10.
I'll bet you there are 20.
I will. The over/under. I will bet you a lunch. I think I owe you a lunch.
You let me finish my sentence.
I think. Well, we're out of time.
Aren't you
I planned it that way. We'll be back after this. say a few words about our friends at the Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road. The Nashville Pizza Company in Franklin reminds us that the current economic times have been tough on many families in our area, and many are finding it hard to make ends meet. Your donations of clothing or canned goods can make a difference for a family in need. During this holiday season, give from the heart so others can have a new start. That's courtesy of our friends at Nashville Pizza Company, 2176 Hillsborough Road in Franklin. They are always working to keep our community moving in a positive direction.
My fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it. Believe me.
Impersonator not endorsed
This
by
summer,
Donald Trump.
never leave pets in vehicles while running errands. Even with windows cracked, the 80 degrees can shoot up to 120 degrees, causing heat stroke, dehydration, and even death. So keep pets hydrated, shaded in cool areas, or just leave them at home. That's from Kathy, Candy, and the staff at Mutts Cuts Grooming, the people with warm hearts for those with cold noses. For your pet's grooming needs, call 931-645-9220. That's 931-645-9220 for Mutts Cuts Grooming in Clarksville, Tennessee at 1479 Tiny Town Road.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Crom, you have a few thoughts on transgenderism
Well,
before we get to our Alvin Bragg story.
Yes. What I wanted to conclude by saying is that I think there are about 20 Democrats who will be at risk on their vote one way or the other. In other words, if they won very close races, and if they vote that someone with an anus, if they vote that they have the right to go into the women's bathroom, I think that will affect them politically. But they're in a district that has some hardcore Democrats who would if they vote along with the Republicans, they'll lose some votes there. So they don't want this to come to the floor, and Nancy Mace is going to make it come to the floor. Now, but the other thing, and the related subject that will also come to the floor for a vote in the next Congress and in the next Senate, will be that on Title IX, on whether or not men can play against women in high school and college sports. And that will be a big deal from a political standpoint. Democrats do not want that to come up for a vote, and they will have to do it. The transgenderism is going to replace the question of abortion as the leading social issue, because the question of abortion is being resolved at the state level, and this is a civil rights issue as to whether or not females have the right to play against only females in sports and compete against only females in sports, and so this will be the social issue that will replace abortion.
You know, what's interesting about that, Crom, is the Democrats don't realize, the elected Democrats don't realize how much the public disagrees with their position on this.
Right.
But they're living in 2023.
Right. Yeah, and so we'll see how that plays out. Now, I wanted to move on though to Alvin Bragg and Judge Marchant.
Yeah.
That if, and so I'm going to make a prediction.
Let me set the table.
Set the table. Yeah.
So this was a crooked trial where they invented felonies that didn't exist before, where they used some bookkeeping entries about how they categorized payments made to attorney Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
He signed an NDA agreement, which is very standard for high-level personality sometimes. There are all sorts of claims made.
Yeah.
And rather than have those claims made, they just pay them off X amount of dough.
Right.
And it turns out to be a common practice. The accountants at Trump World categorize those as legal fees, which is really, the only way you could do it. But the prosecutor, this Alvin Bragg guy, the Soros-funded guy in Manhattan, claimed that was a bookkeeping error, a transaction. It was deceptive.
Okay.
And he ended up using that with a crooked judge to get him convicted with a crooked jury on 34 felony counts.
I'm not going to say the jury was crooked. I'm saying that the way that the trial was conducted was crooked, and the testimony that was allowed by the judge should not have been allowed based on the Supreme Court ruling. And so, but here's what's happening right now. Marchant will not sentence Trump, and until Trump is actually sentenced, whatever the sentence is, it may be community service, but whatever the sentence is, Trump does not have the right to appeal because he is not actually convicted until the sentence is rendered.
So
that's a technical thing, but it matters.
But you are not a convicted felon,
right?
Even if a jury finds you guilty until you are sentenced,
right? And then and only then, after you're sentenced, do you have the right to then appeal the verdict. And upon appeal, the case will be overturned, and Trump will be exonerated on appeal. But Marchant and Bragg are trying to hold this over Trump's head and not give him the opportunity to appeal it, and they won't drop the case either. So if the judge decides to suspend sentencing until after Trump is out of office, claiming that he can't do that while he's president, if that's what he chooses to do, it is my great hope that the Trump administration will seize all of the cell phone and computers of all of the people involved in the case, including that guy that went from the Biden Justice Department and helped in the trial, and seize all that and investigate them and convene a grand jury based on this simple thing. A person who is the president of the United States needs to have a completely clear mind, and that these people are on purpose undermining the opportunity of a person who is serving as president from doing the very best job they can.
Let me tell you what Jonathan Turley says about this.
Okay.
Our good friend Jonathan Turley, George Washington professor.
And if he agrees with me, then I'll say he's right.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg pushed on Tuesday to create a new constitutional creature, the layaway president.
Right.
It was once common for stores to hold expensive items that you really wanted but could not pay for entirely, so they were tagged and kept on a shelf until you were ready to redeem your item. For Bragg, that leaves Donald Trump tagged until 2029. In a filing before Manhattan Justice Juan Merchan, Bragg suggested the court should stay the criminal pending case and defer any sentencing until after the end of the defendant's upcoming presidential term. Mm-hmm. That would allow a city prosecutor to put a leash on a sitting president for 4 years.
Yeah. And if a judge allows that, then the judge to me is in league with the prosecutor and is violating their oath of office and is harming the entire country. And so if they're hiring the entire country, I believe that the Justice Department could convene a grand jury wherever in the country they thought it was most appropriate because of and I think I think that Bragg and Marchant should be treated exactly the way that they treated
I agree.
Trump. And so I would like for that grand jury to be in some small town in, say, Cookeville, Tennessee, or South Dakota, or someplace in southern Illinois, where the juror selection is going to be as representative of Republicans as the jury in New York was representative of Democrats, because I believe in equal treatment under the law. And then I would make it very clear, as the Justice Department, once they issue the indictments and begin the process, to say, if these people want this to go away, here's the plea bargain that I will accept. And,
that's, by the way,
and make it very public.
Crom, what you outlined, Crom, that is exactly what an Attorney General, Matt Gaetz, will do.
Okay.
Or whoever becomes attorney. I think Gaetz will become attorney. But the point is that they have engaged in prosecutorial misconduct, and judicial misconduct.
Yeah.
And I think that both Bragg and the judge should be indicted for that.
Well, and other people. There'll be other people, not just Bragg. In other words, what I'm saying is I'm going to get them all. I'm going to get them about 10 of them, and the what they're trying to do, especially if they won't give Trump the right to appeal
on this particular matter. Because, again, they've denied him due process in so many ways.
Yeah,
in this.
exactly.
That's another example of it. But in this particular instance, they'll want to add to that list to be indicted Attorney General Merrick Garland, who will then be a former Attorney General for his conduct as Attorney General, plus the prosecutor, the level, I forget the guy's name, who went from DOJ to work with Alvin Bragg.
And that's the one.
Guy.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is, if you seize all of their electronic instruments, then you do the investigation and you find out whether or not Merrick Garland, through emails and texts, was involved. Now, if he wasn't involved, or you can't prove it, I'm not going to taint my opportunity to convict the other people. But if I do RICO, which is the way I would approach this.
Sure. Tell people what RICO. Tell people what RICO is.
If RICO was for organized crime, and I see this as the closest thing to organized crime in a political world as you can have, but Fani Willis tried to use RICO to go after Trump and Trump associates in Georgia. And so we now know that politicians can be held to account under RICO. And so I would use RICO, and under RICO, if one person is found guilty of one of the charges, then all of the people who've been indicted are found guilty of that same charge.
RICO stands for Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act.
Yeah, which
it was a federal law that was passed in 1970 for the purpose of combating organized crime.
Right.
Now,
this is a form of organized crime, in my opinion.
That was my question.
Now, and what I'm saying is the evidence here, and this gets into the difference between proof and evidence. Overwhelming evidence can bring about a conviction. So can proof. But in this case, if Marchant and Bragg, if Marchant does not give Trump the right to appeal by not doing something, if he agrees with Bragg to suspend the sentencing, Trump cannot do his job as president nearly as effectively as if the sword of Damocles was not hanging over his head. Bragg knows that. Merrick Garland knows that. The judge knows that, and other people who are involved in this case know that. And so they should all be RICO'd, and the grand jury should be in some place where you're going to get a jury pool that is similar to the jury pool in New York, except the opposite, because we're all equal under the law, and they should get to experience what they wrought. They should get the opportunity.
So I have
to
a
see
prediction.
What that's like. Please.
I'm putting on my Mike Stradamus hat.
Yes, Mike Stradamus. Yes.
This will all happen within 1 year.
Oh, I agree.
It'll be gone.
Yeah. Well, and then the plea bargain. You say, I'm not trying to put these people in jail. I'm giving them an opportunity. If they will confess to their sins, then I will eliminate the charges. But they need to confess that what they did was political in nature from the begin with, and they cooked up this whole thing to try to keep Donald Trump from becoming president. And shame on them. They need to grovel. They need to say that it's terrible. And maybe even Alvin Bragg needs to resign. But at least what I want is a complete admission of what they did.
So you know what that's going to be called? You know, there's something called an Alford plea.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
No. You know, an Alford plea is basically, I didn't do it, but you have enough evidence to convict me. That's
Right.
an Alford plea.
Okay.
Right? And he's basically guilty. In this instance, I'm going to tell you what that should be called. You ready? Should be called a Captain Obvious plea.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
Right.
Judge Marchand's daughter
Yeah.
should be included because she
Yeah.
has made millions
Yes.
off of fundraising off of her father's court case.
If this were straight up, he would have
Well,
day one recused
yeah, and
himself.
he
It's
thinks,
not straight up.
And we're going to find out whether or not he thinks he actually is outside of the law, not just above it, but outside of it. So we'll see what happens.
He has thought for a long time he's outside of the law.
but he was counting on Trump not winning. You know,
That's the whole gamble.
have you seen this professor
We got 30
apparently,
seconds.
who apparently called all these prior elections?
Oh, the insufferable Alan Lichtman.
Oh, gosh, I tell you what, he's
Insufferable.
embarrassed, but he's also
Defensive.
very embarrassed now.
Well, we played that clip earlier in the show.
That's great. That's great.
And I always thought the guy was beyond insufferable, and he's demonstrated that. All right, Crom, when we come back, guess what?
News potpourri.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Back after this.
Carmichael, CEO of Soul Tea, a supplement to help you have a healthier heart and stronger cardiovascular system. At Soul Tea, we regularly get emails from our customers telling us how Soul Tea has helped them. Like this one from Kelly. Hello, I'm 58 years old and have had high cholesterol for years. I wanted to stay away from prescription drugs. My husband and I have been using Soul Tea for about 13 months. My results have been amazing. My cholesterol levels went from 291 to 129. I am so impressed with Soul Tea and want to thank you. Now, in my own case, my bad cholesterol dropped from 130 to 89, and that was 20 years ago. I'm 75 years old and I take 0 prescription drugs. To get a great deal on Soul Tea, please go to GodzillaHeart.com, and when you check out, use the code Godzilla to get our best deal, which is 50% off your first shipment and then 3 bottles for the price of 2 thereafter. You don't have to live with a broken heart.
Do you suffer from
Try
declining
Soul Tea
bone and
today.
joint health? Hi, it's Tina with the John Fredericks Media Network. And when I heard about our company's Women's Challenge, I jumped on the opportunity to test this amazing supplement that's already restoring my bone density, soothing my joint pain, and helping me regain lost mobility. I've experienced so many benefits in such a short time with Native Path Collagen Peptides because they support my bones and joints, boost my metabolism, and unleash the most radiant skin and hair since my 20s. In just 2 weeks, my knee stiffness is gone, and I'm already hitting the gym more aggressively. And I get so many compliments on my glowy skin and shiny hair. Native Path Collagen Peptides are so easy to take. They're tasteless, odorless, and mix great with my morning coffee. Read thousands of 5-star reviews at getnativepath.com/Godzilla. Level up your self-care with Native Path Collagen Peptides. Try it risk-free for as low as $21 today and get free shipping at getnativepath.com/Godzilla.
In 2008, the amount of concentrated time people could spend on a task without becoming distracted was 12 seconds. 5 years later, it was only 8 seconds, 1 second less than a goldfish. If you're often distracted or have trouble recalling information, you're likely to fall behind in the demanding, fast-paced 21st century. In other words, brain performance is more critical now than ever. Boost your brain power with Healthy Cells Focus Plus Recall. Science-backed nootropics to help you sharpen focus, concentrate longer, enhance recall, improve mental speed, learn rapidly, and be more alert. It's a pill-free brain supplement made with maximum absorption ingestible gel technology, designed to feed your brain at the cellular level. Take it for a test drive. Go to healthycell.com and use code GODZILLA for 20% off your first order of Focus Plus Recall. That's HealthyCell.com. Code GODZILLA for 20% off.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
In studio, original All-Star panelist Crom Carmichael. Crom, it's that time of day again. It's time for News Potpourri.
Yes, Michael. It's that time in the program for the little tidbits that merit the attention of our audience, but not an entire segment and have a touch of
irony.
Yes. Michael, this one especially does. Headlines from the BizPac Review. DNC staffers fired with 1 day's notice and no severance. Union is angry.
I love that one. Hey, speaking of angry, the insufferable Alan Lichtman, the professor of history at American University, the one who's had these 13 keys that will predict the presidency, he says he's got it right. He had it right 8 of the last 9 years, and he confidently predicted that Kamala Harris would win.
Yes.
He was very confident in
Yes,
that.
he was.
And there's this classic video of him that night with his son talking about. You could see as the night went on, his face is falling apart.
Yes.
He's very defensive about it.
Yes.
He was on a Piers Morgan program.
Oh, okay.
And that was with Cenk Uygur.
Oh, the Turk.
The young Turk guy.
Young
A
Turk
far
guy.
leftist.
Yes, but
honest about this. And he got into a discussion with Lichtman. And Lichtman was, don't insult me personally. I'm not insulting him personally. You just got it wrong, buddy. Just fess up.
Do you have a clip?
We got a clip from it. You got to play this. And it's one of the best lines ever. Okay. Here we go. Cenk Uygur just tearing down the insufferable Alan Lichtman.
Obviously, a post-election harmony as you all come together again.
Hey, Alan, right now. Hey, Alan, you deserve a tall glass of shut-up juice, so can you just shut up for a second? And let someone who knows what they're doing.
You're so right, Pierre. Okay? You're so right. We're so unified right now.
Okay.
I will not sit here and stand for personal attacks, for blasphemy against me. You don't need to do that. You don't boost
blasphemy against you? Who the hell are you? Are you Jesus Christ?
Okay, so, I mean, this guy.
Oh my God,
he's so wrong, and he can't admit it.
And here's what's so interesting is he really wasn't all that famous. He didn't gain his fame until this election.
Yeah, because he's just
I mean, so now he's getting killed because he was not just a little wrong. He was so wrong.
He was Ann Seltzer level wrong.
Yes.
The pollster who said Kamala Harris the day before was going to win Iowa
by the way,
3.
she has retired.
At least she has the grace to understand that she has no public standing whatsoever.
I have no idea where that came, where her poll came from. I mean, how do you
she
get?
Pulled it out of a certain part of her anatomy.
All right, okay, but then if she knew that she was going to give something that was massively wrong, she had to know. So I think
off by 16 points.
I think she was assuming that what she was doing would help Kamala Harris win the election.
I
and
wouldn't
if she
be
lost,
surprised a big pile of money was involved.
Now that would not surprise me at all. This one is interesting. Katie Couric was being interviewed by the redhead
Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki, yes, and Katie Couric was a big Kamala Harris supporter, but she said the problem is that as she was interviewed, you just got around, and finally she just said my reaction was answer the GD question.
Yeah,
and she said the whole words.
It was beeped out.
I mean, it wasn't.
She said it.
She said it because it was a podcast.
Yeah.
It wasn't on a show, so she said it. But here's what's so interesting. Katie Couric was angry that Kamala Harris over and over again did not answer questions. How can you support somebody and think that they're the right person for the job if you acknowledge that they're incapable of answering questions?
Let's go back to something you've said often. The talking heads, the anchorettes, are just paid huge amounts of money to lie.
Yeah, well, and then they believe their own lies. Yeah. Now this one is delicious.
Oh,
delicious.
You have a delicious morsel for us, Carl?
Yes. Sunny Halston.
Oh yeah,
had to read a disclaimer regarding Matt Gaetz because what she said on the first day was false.
Defamatory.
It was defamatory. And by the way, what is the definition of a lie, in your opinion? If a very precise definition of a lie,
something that you know is not true that you say anyways.
Well, I'm going to refine that a bit.
Refine.
Okay, I'm going to say the definition of a lie is a statement that is intended to deceive. So it doesn't even have to be inaccurate. It can be incomplete. So, for example, if a husband is out of town, and I think I've used this example before, but if a husband is out of town and he hires a lady of the night, takes her to dinner, and then sleeps with her that night, and then he gets home the next day and his wife said, "What'd you do last night?" And he says, "I went to dinner and then I went to bed." Technically, that would be accurate, but would that be a lie? I believe it would be a lie.
These are moral dilemmas.
No. It's a statement intended to deceive.
I got another.
So Sonny Halston, what she did was she made statements about Matt Gaetz that were so incomplete that they were intended to deceive the audience, and the legal department said, "We're going to get sued over this.
Oh, they will.
You're going to read this." And boy, did she look angry.
It was a hostage video.
Yes.
By the way, Crom, if liberals, obnoxious liberals, many of them journalists, are performatively fleeing X, formerly Twitter, and they're signing up for this copycat called Blue Sky.
That was my next one.
Oh, go ahead. Tell me about that.
It's great. Blue Sky has a very small group of users, and it's all the left. And by the way, if you're on something where there's not any differences of opinion, you're not going to learn anything. That's why they were so mad about Twitter, because Twitter used to be, before Elon Musk, Twitter used to be a place where liberals carried the day because Twitter suppressed competing opinions. Blue Sky will have only one set of opinions.
I'll tell you what, and it's going to fail. But here's the thing: back in 2000, I'd been on Twitter and used it to organize the Tea Party movement from 2009 to 2012. I realized in 2012 that then Twitter had gone crazy and it was just leftist sewer. I did not performatively leave Twitter. I just didn't tweet for 12 years.
Right.
Yeah. And guess what? That was a pretty good strategy because I apparently knew that Elon Musk would buy it and transform
here's what
it.
would be fun.
We got 30 seconds.
Is to sign up under Blue Sky, under some strange name, and then act like you're a leftist, but then you take whatever their opinions are and say we should do that, and then we should even do more. And so even push everything farther and farther left and just see if they'll agree.
Oh, they'll all agree.
Yeah.
And on that happy note, Crom.
All right.
Thanks for joining us today.
You betcha.
We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. I hope you have a great day. This is the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. This is Michael Patrick Leahy. I want to say a word about my good friend Dustin Damon. Dustin is the best handyman in Middle Tennessee. Call Dustin today at 724-683-4400. That's 724-683-4400 if you have a job around the house that you just haven't gotten around to. If you're busy like me, you just may not have the time to fix that broken mailbox, repair the back porch, or get that old light fixture back to working properly. Do what I did. Call Dustin Damon today at 724-683-4400, and he will bring his truck and tools to your house and get that job done lickety-split. Dustin's main service area is Williamson County and the southern part of Davidson County. So call Dustin Damon, the best handyman in Middle Tennessee today, at 724-683-4400. Tell him you heard about him on the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. The Chief Team reminds listeners here that more and more veterans will be returning home over the next few years, and many are local. These heroes have elite military training and valuable professional skills, but they also need jobs too. That's why the Chief Team is encouraging all local businesses. Let's make it the year we hire smart and hire veterans. That's from the Chief Team, where they say service isn't just a courtesy, it's a commitment. For more information, call 931-444-3572. That's 931-444-3572 for the Chief Team in Clarksville.
The Black preaching tradition is deeply connected to gospel music.
PBS presents a new series hosted by Henry Louis Gates Jr., Gospel.
Our singers preach and our preachers sing.
Gospel is a prayer. It is our heart's cry to God in lyrics and song.
You feel it deep down in your soul.
Gospel. Streaming now on the PBS app.